So Yoga Nidra, which we translate into English as yogic sleep, it's not the best translation, but it's the working translation that most of us use, is an essential part of a yoga therapy toolkit. And it's been on my mind because we're just about to talk about how we modify it and the clinical applications of Yoga Nidra for our 2022 students in the yoga therapy diploma. And as I was trolling through the literature, I saw a new publication which is called The Origins and Clinical Relevance of Yoga Nidra, and the chief author of this paper is Pandi Parama. Right? There's a lot of authors on this paper. It's not really a study. It's a review of Yoga Nidra, what Yoga Nidra is, going back to its classical origins, coming to its more modern iteration, which was sort of codified in the 1960s. And then going into the different components of Yoga Nidra as well as research. So I definitely recommend taking a look at it. It's an interesting piece, and it's really, ancient traditional wisdom and honoring of the origins of yoga meets modern science and yoga therapy. So from that perspective, I really like it. It's not like a really solid piece of research review, but still an interesting paper. And just to add, I think it's important that we really think about Yoga Nidra more and more in yoga therapy. That's definitely happening. First of all, because almost anybody can do it. All you need to do is lie down. The different components of it, right? And there are some research studies that try to express what the values are of the different components, but they are really interesting when we put them together. And just briefly from my perspective, the rotation of consciousness that we do has two benefits, right? We firstly are focusing on body awareness, and we're also directing attention, because while we are focusing on different parts of the body, there is the internal recitation of that part, which helps to cultivate focus. Usually there's something there around opposites, and that is about developing flexible consciousness, right? And that's really important for mental health, to be able to see two different opposing perspectives. Then we often have a breathing component, which is very relaxing and parasympathetic in origin, followed by, in that deeper place, visualization. And for some people, visualization comes really easily. For some people, it's more difficult. But again, there's something about the ability to visualize something by choice that is actually aligned with being able to put the mind in a chosen perspective. It's not about suppression. It's about being able to work more with the mind and have it flexible so that we kind of use it rather than it using us. So there are all of these components, and then there are the modifications that are possible. Like if you're working with somebody, for example, with PTSD, it might be difficult in the beginning to do rotation of consciousness and focus on body awareness wholeheartedly in that way. So you might actually have that person uniquely move. I know you don't generally do that when you're trying to have yogic sleep, but you could add that piece, right? And it could be shorter. And when you're working with people who are already struggling to just be in the here and now with clear lucidity, you can take out the visualizations. If you have people who are struggling with breathing, you can have their upper body sort of upright, like with long COVID, where they desaturate. So there are both mental and physical modifications that can be made. One of the things that we do in the Minded Institute, and I know I understand this isn't classical, is we often will remove the sankalpa for people who feel like intention into the future creates a distinction between just honoring the pain that they're in now. And instead we might make the sankalpa, if it exists at all, may I be better at cultivating intentionality, or simply remove it. So it's a highly modifiable practice. I once had a student write this incredible paper just at how you could change it for all different populations. And so I wanted to put it out there to all of you, and also share this paper, which I think is a really interesting read. I hope you get some deep rest with the use of Yoga Nidra, and as we say at the end of it, Hari Om Tat Sat.